All right, traders. Well, we are back after a few weeks off with holidays and sicknesses and everything else going on. It has been a long couple of weeks.
Dramatic entrance.
Dramatic.
Yeah, that's good. Hi.
All fancy and stuff.
All fancy.
So,
That's right.
yeah, I've been under the weather the past couple of weeks, to say the very least. Under the weather, under the couch, almost under my gravestone, I think. It's been rough. Bunch of failed COVID tests and just feeling
Just
raw.
try harder. You'll pass them one day.
I'm going to
Study.
try.
Just study.
I've never really been good at that kind of stuff.
Well, there you go.
Small town northern Utah education.
Oh, yeah, that's
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's why acute vaccination blew up and got to get 6 different kinds of sick.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
first
Anyway.
of all, I wanted to.
No, wait. What episode are we?
Oh, we are everything. What is
No.
it?
What the hell? What are
Everything's
we called?
late. Nobody's dead.
Nobody died.
Everything's late. Nobody dies. Episode number 58.
Lucky
58. And
There you
hopefully we're going to get back into the swing of things and start getting these out on a semi-regular basis. A lot of people have been asking where the podcast has been. Well,
People have been complaining, and I'm like, it's Eric's fault.
it has been all my fault. I
Yeah.
feel terrible having to call you and be like, dude, I die later today.
You didn't even call me. You just sent me a lean-ass message. You're like,
Lean-ass.
oh, sick.
I called
Yeah.
you last week.
No, you did.
I actually made the phone call.
The only time you've been here, like, popping in, like, like when you're supposed to, is when I told you I was going to be gone.
That's true too.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, so due to popular demand, I've actually had quite a few people ask me to address this, and I think we're going to do multiple episodes on the subject and get a few different perspectives. There's some really great artists in Utah. We've got Rufus here. You've got Travis Romney is here in town. The guys from Valleity are here. So
yeah,
a lot of extremely talented comic artists in Utah that have weighed in separately on the subject of AI and how it's affecting the comic industry.
Yeah, it's a mess.
So we're going to start today because you've owned your shop for 20-something years, so you've seen
20 years in May.
Yeah. Almost there.
So big
and
20.
You've been in the industry for 25, 26?
Yeah, about 25 maybe.
As a professional. I mean, collector a long time before that, obviously.
Yeah.
So been around long enough to see fads come and go and see where they're going. But so very first thing though, I did want to do a shout out to Travis. You see his book here, The Mighty Utah. I'm sure that you follow him on social media, I guess Facebook page.
Hi. Oh no, that's not shout out. No, that's not literal.
You can.
Hi.
Hey, Travis.
Rabbits. There we go. How's that?
His Mighty
an old
Utah
person
stuff,
show.
especially if you're a Utah native. I was born and raised in northern Utah. You were born and raised in Utah. Like the stuff.
Don't spread that around, but yeah.
The stuff that he puts, that like every day, it's like a new little Mighty Utah something that's just digging at Utah culture, and it's hilarious and it's a lot of fun. So in the chat, you've got a link to his website, saltcitycomics.com. Go there, check out and see what he's got. Mighty Utah is hilarious. Subscribe to him on Facebook, Instagram, all that. He's a very
follow him to his house. Tell him, just give him a pat on the back. Tell him how great he's being.
Yeah. Tell American Greg sent you.
Actually, no. If anybody does that, say Eric sent you.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything to do with that. I came up with it, but that's fine. Anyway,
I'm pretty sure that he can handle himself, but
yeah, I think you can. I'll be all right. Yeah.
So check out his stuff. You'll be pleasantly surprised. I think we're going to kind of rotate through the Utah talent as we go along and kind of highlight some of these guys and what they're doing out there.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So anyway, hopefully we'll get Travis to come on the show and because he's got a unique perspective on this AI art thing. So anyway, AI art.
Mhm.
We're going to. I don't want that one. I want to do that.
If you're wondering about the Daredevil stuff, they'll be out by Saturday.
So I wanted to show this. I was hoping to find one in your back issues because this is a book I did not pick up myself. So this is the one where it first really hit home for me.
It looks like Henry Cavill. It does not look like Jack White.
Yeah, that's supposed to be Jack White. And it was made by.
His hair isn't even like that.
I don't get it.
He has like long hair. And I don't know what is happening on the other side. What is that supposed to be?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for one thing, it's a book I don't read. But when it first came out, I remember it being the hot book of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And I came in here, and by the time I got here on Wednesday morning, you were already sold out.
Yeah.
And you couldn't figure out why it was sold out.
And well, so, and everybody was asking, like, oh, do you have that, the Batman Superman book that Jack White did? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Right. Jack White doesn't do comics. He barely does music. No, I couldn't figure out what was going on with it. And it doesn't say something like something Jack White studio or I don't know, something like that on it. Like, it doesn't say him.
It's a software development company or software security company. It's a software company that he owns a majority of. And the people at this company created this AI cover, and it's supposed to be him on the cover.
That's definitely not.
But the big selling point was it was the first AI generated comic book cover, which I don't think is true either.
I don't think it is, but actually, no, it's not. No, it's not. And because there was that other book, I can't remember what it was, but it was like an indie book. It was an independent book, and the story and the art. They took the story. Maybe it came out at the same time. I don't know, but they took the story. It was like a public domain story of some sort, a classic or whatever, and then they did AI art to see what. Herbie from Fantastic Four, I guess, would draw if he had hands. And then and I was like, this is kind of cool, but I didn't really enjoy it. Honestly, I was just like, okay, whatever. No, but I don't know, hey Marvin, I think that, I think it's going to do all this other stuff that all the other robots and computer stuff are doing. So I was reading a thing about like self-checkout at supermarkets. I don't know why I had to do that because you know how that works, right? There's like a universal product codes and it just does this. That's really neat. God. Anyway, so I was reading an article about that, and they were saying like people are getting tired of it.
Oh yeah.
I hate those things, man. Yeah. I actually get kind of actively pissed if that's the only thing open, if there's not people to ring up my stuff, because machines make mistakes. And it's one of two things, okay? It's either I'm going to pay too much because something doesn't come up as being on sale, or they're going to get ripped off because it comes up at a lower price.
Right.
And then they're saying like it is making us more separated from society and people and, just all kinds of stuff, man. And they're like, there have been some places that have actually shut down their self-checkout stuff.
I know
it takes just as long, if not longer, because I don't know where to find broccoli. Stupid ass thing.
I mean, I use the self-checkout quite a bit because that's Kat's preference because she can just whip through it and walk out the door. But a lot of places, like stores, are getting ripped off left and right.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I'm buying something embarrassing,
there you go. But those kind of stores.
Yeah, if I'm buying a pair of cantaloupes and cooking oil, then I'm not.
Yeah.
Just let your minds wander with that. But no, I mean, I just don't like to do that. And at first people were like, oh God, this is great, man. I do this, rush through, but now they're starting to go back on it. And I feel like that's what's going to happen. Thanks, Carl. I feel like that was Carl. I feel like, that's going to start to happen, man, with this stuff, with the AI stuff, with with a lot of this other kind of stuff. And because people are not going to want to count on that, and it's like people are going to start losing their jobs. It's going to start looking shoddier and shoddier. I feel, I just don't think it's going to be feasible for comic companies and, movie studios and whatever to use AI to create their stuff. I mean, James Cameron may have already be an AI construct. I don't know, because all of his damn movies are the same. Look at him run through the forest. There was an ad for the Avatar video game that I saw on YouTube when I was watching something yesterday. I thought it was an ad for the movie because it was exactly the same. Yeah. It's just this, the CGI thing went crazy for a while, man, and now there's backlash against it. It's like bring practical effects back, build sets, do what I mean, that kind of stuff.
Well, I think we get into a situation, especially when you're talking about film and books and TV and comic books and entertainment and art, where it's a real fine line. So a perfect example is our friend Rufus, an extremely talented artist. Like he's up there with just about any other comic book artist out working at the big two, right? In my opinion. He is a big proponent of AI assisted art. So, and we'll have to get him on and talk about it because his take on it's extremely interesting to me because he's so talented and he can do all this stuff by himself, but the AI helps him along.
Okay.
But it's not AI generated.
Okay.
And I think it's a real fine line, and especially when you get into writing. Like I'm a writer, so when I'm writing something and I'm going through writing a script for a comic book or for a game supplement, it helps me to have the AI there correcting the mistakes as I go.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
But the nuance,
spell check is AI if you want to get real.
Yeah. But the nuances of colors and facial structures and there's a visual storytelling that goes on with a good comic book artist that I don't think AI is ever going to match. I don't think they can.
Well, I mean, is it time to tell the people that are watching this and the people that are going to watch this that we're AI generated? Generated.
Yeah.
And you can tell because any minute this one crazy trick that my wife gave me for Christmas, one crazy life hack. This weird tool solves all my problems. How's that?
Yeah.
Because you can tell if it's AI now. For the most part, you can tell.
Right.
I mean, there's really good programs out there, But for the most part, you can already tell that it's AI. But I'm wondering when that is going to be like completely, not see-through. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, now what? So,
well, right now there's a big backlash in the community, in the gaming community, because they found out that Wizards of the Coast is using AI to make Magic the Gathering cards. So they
like the art,
make the art for Magic the Gathering cards. So what happens is, like, they make money. I mean, they make more money because they're not paying an artist, or they're paying a computer programmer that can do an entire set in a fraction of the time. But people can't tell if there's if there's if it's AI generated or not. And I don't think I can kind of see that in the world of one-offs like Magic Gathering cards, but when you're going panel to panel in a comic book, I don't think that that would hold up to the scrutiny of the people that are actually reading these books.
Yeah, probably wouldn't. Hey, Beck.
Yeah.
Is that some about music stuff?
Yeah.
The new Blondie book came out this week.
Yeah. Actually, there's a brand new Blondie book out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
A glitch in the Matrix.
Matrix.
JG. Hey, what's up?
Hiya.
So I'm kind of curious. I don't know if Marvin's still in the chat, but I would be kind of interested in hearing his take. I don't know if we're in a situation where I could see the like if I'm Marvel or Disney, I'm gonna want AI to write all my books for me.
Yeah, because I can pay people.
Right.
You bought the program already.
But are we sophisticated enough as consumers that that's not going to fly, or are we going to keep buying AI generated stuff?
I mean, keep buying it. The public will just keep eating it up. Half the time they won't know that it's AI generated.
I mean, is that because people aren't reading their books?
No, I just think that that. And I don't want to say it like this, but and there's a ton of extremely talented people right now that are making comics. Okay. But there's a whole bunch that are half-assing it too,
even the good ones.
Yeah. No, you can tell when, I love Cullen Bunn, love his writing. Okay. But you can tell it's not bad. It's never bad. Same thing with Cy Spurrier, and you can tell when they're doing a passion project and when they're getting a paycheck from Disney or AT&T. You can tell, and it's not bad, but it's just like, oh my God, man.
I think Tinian is falls into
Tinian's like that as well, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. You look at, Nice House, stuff like that, just brilliant writing. And then he jumps on, a Batman, and it's like,
it's like, that's pretty good Batman.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great for Batman because everybody else writes Batman's tanking it, but
God, yeah. It's it's rough. I don't know what's going on right now with everything, but I think we're seeing so many changes in the comics industry right now, and I'm going to at some point do an open letter to the comic industry and just put it on my blog on my website. Because it's just like that sounds just so like pretentious and an open letter to the comic industry. But there's so many things that they're simple fixes, but they don't want to fix them because it's too tough or it costs too much money, even though it'll make more money in the long run. And it's the comic industry is a very short-term business. What's selling this month? What's happening right now? And I feel like maybe that that's a bit of a mistake to look at it like that, because just by definition, the comic industry is a long-term business. I mean, man, you're not. Action Comics came out. Action Comics #1. There are millions of them around. And people are like, yeah, whatever, man. And then so many years later, now it's you, your spouse, and all your kids' retirement.
Yeah.
But it is a long-term game. And that's why I think that the speculators and the flippers, sometimes, I know some people that just buy stuff. Like Matt will buy stuff, and he'll buy stuff and he'll be like, oh yeah, 5 of these. I'm just going to hold on to them just in case something happens. I don't consider that a spec market or a flipper.
Right.
And he's actually looking toward the future with this stuff. But I feel like the short-term spec stuff is kind of a problem, and it's not looking at it correctly. It's like we were talking about earlier, books all over the place now because there are a lot of them.
Right.
That World's Finest. And when the day it came out, it was like 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, $80.
I think I can distinctly remember when I walked in that day, I asked you if you had them. You're like, no, dude, they all sold out because you didn't order heavy on them.
I didn't order heavy
because
on them.
it was like a C cover.
Because there were like 5 or 6 covers on that issue.
Yeah, and it wasn't even. I mean, it's not like it was Batman. It was World's Finest,
and it wasn't really selling that well either.
And
it still doesn't sell like super well.
Yeah,
so the only time it does is when they put Nicolas Cage on the cover of Superman, or they put Jerry Seinfeld on the cover of #1, or they do an AI Jack White thing.
Right.
It's the gimmicks that are selling it right now, and and that makes it very difficult for a retailer because you're looking at issue 11 and you're like, oh my god, man, I sold out of 11, and I got to jack my orders up on 12. Right. And then 12 comes out and nobody buys it.
Yeah. And
now we have a huge stack of it. And the way the DC is doing their returns now is a joke. Lunar used to do, and DC used to do all those returns, so we just had pages of stuff that we could send back if it didn't sell, right?
Right.
Looked at the returns this month. Fables 160, cover A and cover B. That's the only thing they're taking back.
Wow.
So, of course, I have to cut my orders, because I don't want to sit on a huge stack for
right.
That's just how it works.
And somebody in your position, you don't run your store to cater to those flippers and people like that.
No, I'll take their money happily.
Right. But that's not who you are as a retailer.
Yeah, I'm not an investment store.
And some stores do that, and nothing against stores that do that. They do their thing, you do your thing, fine. And everybody, rules their own little sphere there. But when you do business the way you do, so that day I came in and you said, I only got like 5 or 6 of them. They're sold out. I got Jonathan calling to see if I have any.
Yeah,
and
I think I got like 10 copies.
Yeah. There was a handful of them. And then because I looked it up in the morning and it was at like $35. And then by the time I got here, it was at its peak that day, which was about $75 a copy, which was insane. There were some copies that went to $225, like extremely outrageous amounts.
That's insane.
And then preparing for this show today, I wanted to get a copy of it to put it on the easel, and it's a $3 book.
Right. Which is what it should be.
It's about a year old?
Yeah. We're in a society that's satisfied with content, show, hide. Oh, sorry, you clicked on there. I couldn't finish.
We're in a society that's satisfied with content instead of stories. So there's no incentive for big corporations to keep the bar raised.
Very good point.
Okay, that's interesting.
Point. Yeah, and that definitely, I think that reflects in a lot of that stuff, because you've got, people aren't looking at like, oh, is the story awesome? They're like, oh, it's the first appearance of Bad Batch from the show, or oh, it's the first appearance of that one kid from the Iron Man movie.
Right.
That Web of Spider-Man, that was stupid. That was a stupid rush. Because the kid from the Iron Man movie, that character was in a Spider-Man book.
Right.
And people lost their minds. Now, was the Spider-Man book good or not? I don't know. I mean, I think it was okay. But nobody came back and gave me any feedback on the story. They were just like, hey, do you have the first appearance of that one kid? Nobody even knows his name, man,
Well, there's one coming out because the new Madam Web movie, the trailer dropped. So people are already, we want,
oh God,
we want that character's first appearance. They don't want that first Madam Web.
Yeah.
With that iconic cover, Madam Web, with all the webs coming out of her and all that.
Which is a great cover.
They don't care about that book, which is an amazing story, and it's a great character, and they did a good job with it. They want this new character based on, Dakota Johnson in a movie.
Yeah. And who is that again?
Dakota Johnson?
No, the character. I know who she is. She's
Madam Web.
Oh, she plays Madam Web.
Yeah, she's playing Madam Web.
Jesus.
Because
it looks just like Madam.
Yeah. So there is
an old blind woman.
There is
she looks
very
like,
little concern for concern for those characters or the story.
Right. Yeah.
Which is sad. We talk about this a lot. We've got and it came up the other day because we were talking about Doug Wagner's stuff. And he recently did Marvel Zombies.
Yeah.
And that was an amazing read. He did
That
a
was
great
a great
job
story.
on
That was a
book.
great issue.
It was.
You know,
It was a really great issue.
He did a story, Erica Schultz did a story, and Gail Simone did a story. And when you pick up a book, and this just my opinion, but when you pick up a book and Gail Simone's story is the weakest, that's a hell of a book.
I mean,
and that was not a weak story. That was a good story.
And so we were talking about that, and it led into, you know, vinyl and click, click, boom, and everything else that Doug's done. And he's really a writer that if you get the opportunity, read his books as a graphic novel, because you cannot put it down. You either have to have all 4 or 6 of them in a stack, or you have to get the graphic novel, because you can't put it down. He's that good of a writer.
Yeah, he's a great writer. That was funny. He was in picking up his hold yesterday, and there was there's a kid that was in here buying stuff, you know, and you know, Doug's like, "Do you have some extra Marvel Zombies too?" You know, because Marvel and Disney are so generous with their comp copies. I actually don't think he got any.
Wow.
Well, you know, they give the writers a certain amount, but there's 3 writers on that.
Yeah.
Of course, Gail's going to get them, right? You know. But anyway, you know, beside the point, I'm pulling them out, and you know, this kid's here, and he's like, "Oh wow, is that like an important book?" You know, and he's like, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah." And he goes, "Oh, cool, all right, yeah, that's cool." And he starts looking, you know, at some stuff, and yeah, he's a really friendly kid. And he's like, "Hi, my name's Logan. What's your name?" And Doug's like, "My name's Doug." And I'm like, "Yeah, this guy, he wrote this." And the kid's like, "Oh, wow. Well, congratulations." And I'm like, this guy's been writing since before you were born, kid. You're congratulating him on 1/3 of one issue. But, you know, I mean, it was really sweet. It was really nice of the kid to do that, you know. But, you know, and that's kind of leading up to the point I was going to make, is there are so many creators out there, you know, and people have this image of them all being, you know, Stan Lee. You know, when they go to their mansions and they, you know, they drive their Ferraris to their mansions and have their, you know, their people prepare dinner, and, you know, they light their cigars made of $100 bills with $100 bills, you know, and it's like, no, man, that just doesn't happen. You know, so everybody's always really surprised to find creators, you know, in her shopping and just, you know, shoot the shit.
Yeah.
And they're like really surprised, like, "Oh my gosh, but you're famous," you know? And yeah, it's like, well, that's why I say the comic industry is a weird thing. And I do feel that, you know, I do feel that at some point we're going to do a situation where there is going to be a revolt against the status quo of the big companies. It's already starting to happen. There's going to be a revolt against the AI stuff when it starts to happen.
Right.
You know, and I think it'll go along just fine for a while, you know, but it's going to be the self-checkout thing. You know, they're going to realize like, "Oh my God, man, this sucks. I don't like this." You know, it's going to take a little while, but yeah.
Well, and it's a lot of it's going to be when they push out a book like the World's Finest 11 and like some of the projects that are coming up where it's AI generated, and they're getting to the point where they're going to have to say, "Well, that's AI generated. Look at this new fancy thing that we're doing."
Right. Yeah.
And people are going to jump on that.
And everybody's going to rush to get that initially, and then they're not. And they're going to be like,
well, those people that do that, and we've talked about this type of mentality before, the people that do that are going to lose their ass off.
Yeah, they are.
Because like everybody that bought that World's Finest for even $10,
yeah,
have lost their ass on it.
Right. Yeah.
So when they're sinking $75 into a book on the day of release, and then it crashes.
Yeah.
Wow.
What happened?
My battery's about to die. That's crazy.
That's because you've been sick. Oh, your computer battery.
Yeah, my computer battery.
Oh, what's going on with that, man?
I don't know. It's never done that before. So I guess that's our cue to kind of wrap this up. So,
yeah.
Bye. So yeah, I think that it's going to tank. It's inevitable that it's going to tank.
It will.
And
it will.
Hopefully that'll drive people back to reading a book once in a while and learning what's inside, or move on to a different hobby.
Yeah. Yes, JJ, there will be more episodes.
There will be more episodes next week. I'm going to try to line up maybe a couple guests and do a holiday roundtable, and we'll just shoot the crap about cool pop culture comic book.
You know what we should do next week?
If this dies while we're chatting, make sure you subscribe.
I'm just going to wait until it dies, so keep everybody
there
in suspense. No, what you should do is charge your damn computer.
I should charge my computer once in a while.
No, I mean, I think there's a lot. There's a lot to that, though. I think it'll be a big deal, just like computer generated comics were for a little bit. That Iron Man graphic novel and Shatter, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, that's so cool!" And then you look at it now, it's like that looks like crap.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good.
Yeah,
but
like the Polar Express.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just don't hold up.
No, that was nightmarish when it came out, man.
Yeah,
that made me uncomfortable, and I couldn't sleep for a long time.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks haunted my nightmares.
My grandkids love it, and I'm just not quite there.
No.
So, okay, so this is going to die on us, so we're going to have to kind of wrap this up. I just want to, and I also want to let everybody know, if you're in Utah, Greg just got a killer Bronze Age collection in. They've been flying out of here. He's trying to get them all priced up. There's some awesome stuff, some old Daredevil. There might be some Transformers left by the time
by the time we're done with
That's
this.
been going pretty quick.
X-Men, Spider-Man,
like some really cool stuff.
There's some great stuff.
So if you're looking for the Bronze Age stuff, come in and grab actually a whole set of Secret Wars 2.
Oh yeah!
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so pop in. We are gonna get back on a regular schedule, health provided, and we're looking to bring in some guests and do some fun roundtables, that type of stuff. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you see the little bell down there, click and ring the little bell. And that way you'll be notified whenever we have a new show coming out.